G'day everyone, welcome to week 7, our final week of the Halloworkshop 2024. This is the extra mile. This is the last bit of Halloworkshop content I'm going to put out for this year, and it is, or maybe I'll do a journal flip, so I don't know, strike that from the record please. But I'm finishing it off. It's all culminating in one of my absolute faves, Wednesday Addams, the spooky gal herself, and I've got her in this really fun, kind of unbothered, like doll style. To me, this is very reminiscent of not reminiscent of, but it's what I would kind of submit if for some reason Pop Mart Global wanted me to design a vinyl doll line. This would be what I would submit. I just love them. I think they're so fun. They're impossible proportions, the really cute little face. I don't know, I'm obsessed with these. I started drawing them, I want to say Playtest Patreon 3, there was something very similar to this, like very much in this vein. I might have even been inspired by something from a Japanese toy collector's book. I'm loosely remembering that there was something that I was really inspired by there. And then I've been playing with those proportions ever since, playing with the style, the face, you know, how I like the body angles and all that. And I love them just kind of peeking over their shoulder or completely turned to the back. They're always kind of facing the side. Their face is a little bit 3/4. They got these really big lips, these teeny tiny little, like, I don't know, just blacked out eyes. You know, they're just lashes at this point. I gave her open eyes. I kind of like those as well. Bottom lashes, which almost just, because their eyes are closed, it looks like their real lashes are just blinking down, but they are bottom lashes. So that's a style feature. And humongous feet, really, really big boots, chunky feet, humongous, heavy, weighed down feet. Now this also has, I guess I was going to say, I kind of refined this aesthetic when I was drawing my K-pop faves. I've recently become a cat's eye icon, a stan, a K-pop fan. I've never really been into K-pop that much before, but I watched the Dream Academy on Netflix and I've absolutely lost it. I've become completely obsessed. So I was drawing all of them, and then I really loved the aesthetic of that image. So then I've kind of drawn a few extras. This witch was in Collage Club for October. There's another Wednesday Addams. For my Halloworkshop members, you'll probably see this if you're watching it in the course, but you have these as downloads, these references. So use those in your journal if you want, or use those to kind of get a better feeling of the proportion. And if you want to follow along, please do. Anyone is welcome to follow along. And I'm just going to get into it. I'm going to draw one that we haven't done today, but I just wanted to show you the few that I've done. They're very punk rock, very Wednesday Addams. Let's get into it. As always, this is not a strict tutorial. This is a little bit more difficult to draw, but I will explain it as I go. So if you want to draw along, yeah, just be confident. Be confident and go for it, I say. We need a circle. Not that I don't explain all of these things, but I move at my pace, which I think is a little quicker than I would teach. And I'm going to bump out the chin at the bottom. We would have looked at this at the Nara children from this lesson this past week. So if you've done, no, not that week, week 6, if you're in the Halloworkshop, you know this face shape. And this is a pretty big head. You know, I probably should have started it a little bit higher, unless I wanted a really small body. Ooh, this is so difficult. I'm going to start it higher. You have a chance to start again. Yeah, I'm going to go a little bit bigger. Not bigger, higher. Because I don't need something, I want to keep a little space at the top just in case I want to give her a headpiece or something. I'm not using a stencil for this circle. It's all fine. Bump out the chin. Remember, you want that chin to really accentuate the forehead bumping over the side there. So don't do it right on the edge. Just bring it into that circle a little bit and then connect it up. Usually where we connect, we put the ears. These ears are huge. Humongous mice ears with my candy cane hooks at the top. I'm going to put the mouth in first, which is, it's kind of like a hill that's tilted off to the left side, or whichever side has this bump in it, because that's the 3/4 profile. Rounds off at the bottom. It's a slanted, I would say it's a slanted gumdrop. Really big, tiny little horizontal line in the middle, and then a circle in the bottom right hand corner. So when you shade it all in, you leave that circle open and it looks glossy. I'm doing pretty light line work right now. I'm just sketching because I might change some of the proportions later. Like usually at this point, I'll put my eyes on. They're following that original circle and they're kind of close to the lips. They do wing out almost to the side of the head, and then I add a very small U shape underneath that just extends from edge to edge. So it looks like a really thin slice of watermelon. And then one lash in the middle, two on either side. That's just to make it equal. Sometimes I end up doing the wrong amount of lashes on each one. Like one will have more than the other. But if you want to be neat about it, do that. And that's her little face. At this point, sometimes I will curve in so that that is a little bit more structured. The kind of curve in the head hits about the eye, and then the cheek dips out. I'll either make it smooth or I'll make it sharp. I don't know. There's not much else you can do in between that. But for the most part, I think I make it smooth. Let's try it a little bit sharper of an angle. I think when you smooth it out, it obviously softens the look. Actually, these have smoother angles. Can you see what I mean by that 3/4 profile? That has a sharp little dip. This has a smoother one. Tiny, tiny differences, but they make somewhat of a difference, really. And now I'm just cleaning some of these lines up because I like that face. When I like the face, I'll commit the lines. We'll marry them. And then she has that beautiful bold head. We will be putting 2 braids on, or I think 2 chains. I did this. I had this idea, so when I did these 2 little braids, I thought, oh, what if I did chains as hair? Which I think I will be doing today. So let's get into this. The body, this is the hardest part, really. The neck comes out from this ear. It's not a rule, but a lot of the time, these 2 train tracks will come out of the ear. It's about as wide as that eye. It's very thin. And then we curve around the back so that this outside line curves in towards the face, and really severe S curve. This becomes the little waist and the hip area. I might bring that in just a little bit so it's kind of underneath the head. And then we have hips. She's going to be facing more to the back. So this circle that I'm drawing is actually her butt. This is how wide I want her butt. So it'll come around the back here, and this will be the front of the legs. So from the front of the legs, we have to dip back up into the waist. Leave that a little bit open because that's where a shoulder is going to be. In fact, you can just draw a little circle in there to infer the shoulder. You want the line to cut across the neck, around the outside of the shoulder, and then drop straight down. A lot of the times I'll use a ruler for this, or this brass stencil I got from Traveler's Factory, so that it drops straight down. You want a really heavily weighted line. On the inside of that circle is where the inside of the arm starts. I'll usually put a dip or like a bump in the eye, the line for the arm meat. I was trying to say arm and line together. For the eye meat, put it in there. And then a hand triangle, train track, triangle the other way, train track. They thin out towards the edge. 2 fingers, 1 finger. It's a shocking hand, but I might fix it later. I might not. Who knows? Excuse me. My allergies are playing up. Luckily, we made it to the end of the season without huge allergy flare-ups. 'Tis the season for it, though. So when we come down through the back here, this is actually the back, center back. When it gets to about this part of the waist, the center back appears, and then it cuts through the middle of that circle for her butt. We don't want to draw the butt, but I'm just letting you know that this is how the back is curved. You can see this is the side of the body. This is the back here, this little bit. And this is the whole back angle. And so these legs, I like this first leg to come straight down. If anything, it'll have like a little bit of a curve inwards to it to make her legs look bowed. And then we come from the middle of that circle. There's a tiny dip right in the middle for the knee. It's a very tapered shape. The legs are one of the things I actually spend the longest time on this because there's a specific style to the leg. I actually don't like how skinny it gets down there. It needs to be a little bit thicker, but it kind of helps when you put the feet on because the feet from this angle, I think I want this to be like the back view. So it's this big circle for the heel. She's gonna have flat shoes on, kind of stompers. And then we flatten it off, put a big train track on there and curve it around the sides. And put my little rubber lines on. Put a rectangle at the back because there's kind of a seam like that on a lot of shoes, even if they're boots, which I make these. And these boots will end up somewhere up there, but that's just the back angle of the shoe. Now you want to add the other leg on. I like to have it come out here. I mean, I've done this. This is the same kind of a look that we've got here. Both of these legs facing that way, but these ones are facing the side. These ones are both facing the side. There's only a few variations I really work with. So part of me thinks I should switch it up and see if I can do something else. Maybe I'll have her leg come in. Maybe I'll have this like a bevel. So her knee comes into here and then knocks out. I'm gonna do that. Let's see what that looks like. Now the real issue I have when I do legs and arms is I'll make one so much longer than the other because I'm lazy, I won't measure it. I always think I can just eyeball it. My eyeballs, I'm just not trusting at this point in my life. Actually, I really don't trust them driving at night. I need to fix that. I have a depth perception issue. This is my circle stencil. I'm going to use this circle to get the relative size of that heel. It's a 20. So I know wherever I go to put this on. Actually, let me get from the knee. If you don't have a ruler, you can always use your pencil. The knee to here. The knee. Oh, I'm right there. I was correct. I do trust my eyes again. I'm going to put that circle on here. And then flatten it off at the bottom. And add on my chunky heel. I like the heels or the shoes to be super chunky, like Bratz doll style, because it just makes them look so much more fragile and delicate and dainty, which I think with the Wednesday Addams is just even more fun. That is so on the wrong angle. I should have tilted my book. This is why I lazy Susan it. See, if this leg is going vertical, this shoe should be on vertical. So that whole line was off at the beginning. I just don't like to do it when I'm showing you something on the video because it gets confusing. But I'd rather it be a little confusing than super duper wonky. There we go. Put my rectangle on. And she is good to go. She has her boots on. Love that. This is a new little leg style for me. A bevel. Gonna clean up that line. I'd love for those lines just to kiss right there. And let's erase all of this because I don't want you to think we're actually drawing her nude. We are not. This is not that kind of channel. I don't know if there is that kind of channel, but I certainly haven't come across that. Do not want to be the person to make that today. All right. That's the whole base. That's really what we're going to be working with. I'm going to forgive the fact that I don't love these legs just yet. I just need them to be a little bit thicker. They don't need to be super spindly because the shoes will make them look super spindly. But I have this issue that I was told when I applied for fashion school, when I was doing fashion illustration course, that I tend to slim out my women too much. Which, guilty as charged, obviously. I just love pushing proportions, but sometimes you do push them into a place you don't like them, so... My bad. The legs are so... There's something about it. I can't even explain it to you. They almost have to be train tracks, but there's just the slightest angle to them. Like, there's the slightest taper. That's my preference for this aesthetic. And then I do put a little bump here for the side of the bust. That usually helps refine how we see the side of this profile. And now we have to give her a costume. So I was drawing these and just giving them like Punk Wednesday costumes. And this one I put a Labubu around her head. I love this idea that like if I ever designed a Pop Mart vinyl doll, a collector doll, that she would be this kind of a doll. And that she'd get all these overlays, just like all those Pop Mart vinyls get overlays. Like the Laburu, you get like a Halloween one. I have to admit, I don't know too much about all of that. I do know that I go to the store because I love all the boxes and I love all the art style that you see on the Instagram profile, but I've never bought anything from the store. I'm not a huge fan of blind boxes because I kind of want to know what I'm going to get if I'm going to spend money on it. Like maybe if it was like $1 or $2, but I don't know, $30 and I don't know what I'm going to get, that's a lot. So I feel like, anyway, what I love about the concept is that there's all these artists that have created these kind of characters and then they get these seasonal overlays, which I feel like is what I do with my work. I feel like I create these bases, these kind of generic, base illustrations like we've got right here, and they all get overlays. Like at Christmas time, I'll do some Christmas thing. When I became a K-pop stan, they became all my Cat's Eye girls. When I'm doing Wednesday Addams, she becomes Wednesday Addams. So there's this base figure to it, and some of them are stamps, like my Akiko and Ayako stamps. I'm like, those two exist as like bases, and they get their overlays when I use the stamp. So I don't know, I really want to make this a stamp, but I'm not there yet. I need to give her a name. Pop your name suggestions in the comments, and maybe if you can incorporate something that throws back to K-pop, because these really do feel like my K-pop girls, even though, I mean, this is gonna be a Wednesday K-pop girl. Let's take that angle to it. We're gonna give her massive boots. I just know she needs boots, but I haven't done any that are like thigh high, so let's do that. You kind of lose the taper a bit when you put the boots on, because I do like them to be a little straighter, and I like them to go outside the width of the leg a little bit so you can see them wrap around, and they taper right down into the ankle, so you lose all that leg shape anyway. It's just good to know that the leg is under there, but really we could have just omitted all of that hassle. And this is why I said I'm not going to worry too much about the legs, because I knew the boots were going to go over the top. And then that side, and you need the other one. Always stagger your shoes or your leg details when they're next to each other so that you get a better read on them. They don't have to be too staggered, but you just don't want to have them exactly on the same line. Unless you do. In that case, you're already not listening to me, so don't worry about it. And I mean that in the sense that you know what you want to do, so you don't need to listen to me. I was going to say you don't need to listen to me, and I jumped the gun and just said, well, you were probably already not listening to me because you know what you want to do. But I didn't explain any of that, and it just sounded like I was getting angry at someone. You don't want to be lost in communication. Translation? Sometimes whenever I'm in I wouldn't say an altercation, but if I feel like something's happening, I always just say, oh, sorry. That's how we do it in Australia. You can totally get away with that here. No one questions you. All right, she looks like she's in kinky boots. So let's move on. I want a skirt. I love the skirt. I also love the, I did a jacket detail, like a tuxedo jacket detail. I love the pointy bits. So let's see if we can make maybe like a pointy tuxedo jacket mini skirt or something. Oh, I love it because it looks like a W for Wednesday as well. Didn't even think about that. I'm such a fool. Maybe I can, and I'll drop it off the front too, so you can just see. Maybe I'll make that come over a little bit. I wonder if I can accentuate the W. Put this on as a side seam. So remember I told you this becomes the back through the middle. And so this is a side seam all the way from there down into this leg. You don't need to know seams for drawing, but if you know something about where seams go, it helps you to add detail. Like you know where you're going to add, say if I wanted to add the 2 buttons, where they would kind of split the center through the back seam. Because if you just added them to here, you might get them in the appropriate kind of area-ish, but if you know where the seams fall, you can really line everything up properly, make it look a little bit more realistic. So, I'm just going to leave the W for a second. We'll see what happens with that. I do want to add, I like high necks. I wonder if I want to add like a collar, really high collar. It's hard because you've got that You got that shoulder that pops into the back right there. So I'm going to add a seam over the shoulder. And then curve around. I might add like a rolled up cuff really high. She's rolled up to the bicep. This Wednesday is going to fight. So sorry about that. She's aggressive. She's over it. And then I'm going to put kind of a waistcoat, I guess, over the back. Just going to slightly shade it in so I can know where I want to end up putting it. I don't love to put too much detail in the clothing because once you start over detailing this, you feel like this all looks too simple, but the angle makes it really hard to clothe sometimes. I like the challenge of it, don't get me wrong, I'm not mad about that, but like, do I want it to be a little waistcoat that ends at the high waist, or do I want it to attach to this tail, this tail's details? I think I'm going to make it high waist. There we go. She's looking a little K-poppy because it's like very school preppy. When they debut, they have their school looks on. Well, I don't really know. I know about Cat's Eye. That's all I really know about. I'm going to accentuate the W by just adding those train tracks in that taper towards the side seam. And then I think I want to add buttons, like Victorian buttons through the back. I love that. Side seam. This might be done in a black or something as well. I'm just going to lightly shade in. I don't know if I'll color this, or I'll probably just leave it as a pencil sketch. Does she want gloves? I love gloves too. I don't know if I need all that extra detail in the arm, like all these folds in the fabric. I think I can just leave it like that. A really soft square. I think that's better, that's simpler. I don't know if she needs gloves, but maybe some chunky bangles or something. I love a huge bangle. Let's put a huge pearl bangle or something. They can be skulls. I'm going to draw the circles in first, then erase, and then just draw the little skull detail. Just my regular little skulls. Nothing too fancy. The 3 teeth at the bottom. 1, 2, 3. And the eyes and the nose. We'll alternate where their teeth go, so they're not all facing the same way. 1, 2, 3. Oh, this is so cute. I wish this bangle was real. I could wear it and jingle jangle while I'm teaching. I always loved that about the hairdressers. When I would go to the hairdressers and they had bangles on and they would clink and clank. Just thought it was so glamorous. That and the sound of high heels coming down the hallway, these were the most glamorous sounds I'd ever heard. Every time I do a photo shoot with my sister, I'd make her put on so many bangles. Let me fix this hand. Before I move on, I don't mind these hands to be very big. Change the style up a little bit. You can tell I'm concentrating. I got really silent. I have had a good Halloworkshop. Thank you so much for asking. Don't think I would change a thing. I think it went exactly how I'd hoped. It felt well paced. I felt like I was on top of everything. I made changes as we went along because I felt like some things would be a better lesson than others, which is all the stuff that I really do during my virtual voyages, but those are so densely packed. This was so spread out over 7 weeks that it really felt like I could sit with the information, watch people, approach it and learn from it, and then make my decisions from there. And that just felt really good too. So definitely proud of it. Kind of sad that it's over because I do love celebrating seasonally. I'm going to put you know what? I'm going to do her hair before I do anything else because I feel like it's going to get really confusing. I'm going to have to put that braid over the back. Or, oh no, what do I do? Because now the braid is going to fall right over here. Usually I would just make the hair whatever, but it's such an important part of Wednesday Addams. I'm just going to have to put one braid behind, one braid in front. I know it. Let me use this as the width of my braid. It's going to be huge. Let it drop straight down. I'm probably going to go all the way down here because I need to be able to see it peek back out on this side. So it's got to finish about here, I reckon. Actually, I lie, that's too big. I think I want it that big. Great. And then the other one is going to have to come through the back here. I don't want them too on the outside of the head because it looks like they're puffy on the outside. It's not really the word I was going for, but you know what I mean. Oh, that's like exactly 1 centimeter. I love when that just works out. And let's finish them both about there. I wonder, because a chain is, it's essentially those rectangles, but we can make them squares. I'm just gonna measure up like a ladder each of these because there's gonna be a part where that braid disappears behind the body and I'm not gonna know where to pick it back up. So if I just etch all of these out now, we'll see what happens. I think I need this. No, I need this to be a square. So we're running train tracks. For now, we're just putting the shapes in. Don't worry too much about anything. Every other one is going to be like a frame. And then each in between one will be the link. Is there a difference? Is one a chain and one a link? I'm not sure. I feel like they're all the exact same shape. They're just twisted. So you see the front view here, which is this frame. And then you see the other one that's flipped sideways, which goes a rectangle from the center. Kind of look like earrings. It's fine. They could be Wednesday earrings. We'll see what it looks like when I put all the hairlines in. I am slightly overlapping just because that chain would slightly overlap. I have a stamp that stamps out chain. Don't think it's this big though. I rarely work this big. All my stamps are designed for A5 at best. So A6, A5, because that was my more commonly used size, but I've been using these huge journals lately. I've really been enjoying it. I'm just in a season of using bigger journals. Well, I think as well as using up the old journals, like the old mermaid one that I used to have as a Daisy Ween journal. All right, I'm just going to put one stroke through the center of the shape, and hopefully that will make it look a little bit more like hair. I'll round it all off as well. And the bottom is going to have a spray of hair that's tied up, bundled. I put in my little notes over here. See that little triangle at the bottom? Oh, and a bow. So I'm just going to add a triangle to both bottoms here. Put one lonely strand on the side, a little notch, and some lines. And then a bow. Extends just over the outside of each chain. And it would kind of be like an X across the middle. No real detail to it, it's just shaded in. You won't see that because it's behind the leg, behind the boot. Just straighten that up. That's better. I feel like the back of the boot needs some detail as well. Sorry for the random jump cuts. I have these allergy attacks I have to deal with. We're going strong. Let me figure out what I want to do with this hair. We've got mini bangs galore. Middle part, that's classic. There's also some fun hairlines I put on the cat's eye gills. Let me find them. Look at my gorgeous Halloworkshop journal. It's so full. Literally the entire thing is just full of all the Halloworkshop stuff. I should flip this when I flip my journal, because this I think is kind of more interesting than my journal. I mean, it's not. My journal is just so clean and put together. The one I'm currently working in, this is all the ideas. This is where I worked everything out and I drew everything and planned everything, and there's so much fun to all the texture of this as well. And this is also another recycled Daisy Ween journal. Here, these middle parts. Oh, a curly middle part. Again, micro bangs middle parts. I mean, let's just draw something in. I like the idea of it coming like down over her ear, but the problem I have then is how do I link it up to that chain? Unless I just do kind of a wavy middle part and then just have it disappear over the back. I don't actually bulk it out or anything. So it's very flat. Sometimes because I like these to have really huge hair, or like big statement hair. If I don't want it to look too flat, I could put a hat on. Put a little sideburn in there. That's cuter. I fiddle with the hairlines. Kind of like how it looks a little wispy. Or I could do my cat's eye Megan layered bob. I don't even know what you would call that. You seen Cat's Eye yet? Go watch it, please. You need to know what my new obsession is. Let's do that. Let's do that little bob at the top that goes into these braids / earrings. At this point, it's really okay. We know it's a Wednesday, Addams, and that's all that matters. I just fell off the design brief a little bit. Oh, they all have eyebrows too. I'm going to flick an eyebrow out this way. Very heavy diagonals. A little bit thicker towards the center, like a teardrop shape. Just to accentuate how flicked off they are. And they're very, very tiny. I'm going to erase some of this line work that I do not need at this light stage. I do want a hat or a hairpiece or something. I used to put fish bones all over my Wednesday Addams drawings. I feel like I should do a throwback to that somehow, because that just was such an unusual feature. I feel like I used to add all the time. Let me round off these. I feel like I have seen hair chains before. Not gold chains in hair, like actual chain link made of hair. I feel like I've seen it. Could not tell you where. Just assume everything I've seen popped up on Instagram for 2 seconds and then flashed away and I never found it again. That is my luck. Every time I come across something I really like on social media, the page will refresh and I will never be able to find it again. And I'll go searching for ages. I'll be searching all kinds of keywords that I feel like relate to the image or the video that I just saw, and I'll just never be able to find it again. It's so annoying. She's really coming together. Loving her. Put a little V in there. Do I want 2 little wisps here? Sure. I said I liked the little wisps. I just want some. Love, love, love. It's a little off. Just a little. The angle's just so slightly off, it would irritate me if I didn't fix that. They look like grasshopper feet for some reason. Okay. What does it need? Got the boots. I feel like the boots need a detail, either a flame or a bolt or not a bolt, like a stud. But I actually wanted to put the studs on the back of this, but I stopped because I thought, no, let me round this out the same so I know where to finish. I thought, no, let me put on this hair first because I didn't want them to get in the way. And now they're not going to get in the way. Oh, let me turn my book. I'm being a fool. She's got dinosaur studs. Super long, super spiky. The only design motifs I think I kept consistent, possibly, I don't even think I really thought about it, but I noticed they popped up a little bit, or I was drawn to drawing them, were these long pointy studs, fishnets, and bows, black bows. I do want to find a way to put my fish bones in. She could be holding a little fishbone bag or something. Do I put the bones in on the back of the dress? Oh no, I could put them here. I'm gonna have, somehow, the bones, the tail is gonna come down over the feet, just like that, because you can see it already kind of opens up like that. Draw the spine all the way through at the top. And so the bones can wrap. I usually draw them in like a leaf shape. So let me go down here this way. Draw that leaf shape here. Now I just need to add spike, kind of spiky wraparound bones. Just to the edge of that leaf shape. They don't all have to go over the edge of the shoe. Leave a little space at the top for a fish face. It can be a subtle detail, it doesn't have to read super obvious. Fish. I just wanted that nod to it in there. Oh, let me erase those. I don't need that outside line. This is a Tombow Mono Knock Eraser. I always lose the ends. This one was a new one, and I lost the end to this one as well. So I don't know how they need to fix that, because I feel like that's a consistent problem. I thought it was just my last one got broken, but it is a bit of a design flaw, I feel. Or user error. It's most likely user error. It's a great eraser. I don't want to discourage you from buying it, but I do lose the ends, and then once I lose the ends, I have to do this to push it back up every time I need some more eraser. Okay, those got so wonky. This is why I just do one side at a time sometimes, and then flip. I don't even think I've got the right number on this side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Tragic. There you go. Add 2. 1 at the top, 1 at the bottom. And let me add this fish face. Again, kind of on the outside. Running over the edge. It's like these 2 softly rounded arrows. And it gets an X for an eye because the fish is dead. And then, what do you call it? Teeth. Lots of sharp little teeth. They're piranhas. It's like the piranhas are eating her leg. Love it. Obsessed. So happy I got the fish back in there. I really feel like I'm taking it old school today. I don't know why I've always had such a thing with Wednesday Addams. Christina Ricci in the Addams Family Values and in the original Addams Family movie she was in just played her so dry, and I just thought she was so funny and so unbothered. She's like the original unbothered queen, which I love. One of the ones I drew had this feature where there were 2 lines and I only put the rubber in the middle of the 2 lines, like that rubber line feature. So I'm going to do that. Or maybe I'll double it up. Maybe these will be smaller. It's kind of ribbing in the rubber. I'm not sure why I do it, but I just do it. I think it just looks too plain if I don't add that pattern. Perfection. Look like hamburgers. All right. She needs something else. We're not finished. She needs a hat or something. I mean, she's got the most detail of any of the ones that I've done, so whoops. Oh, I didn't put her back arm on. Does it matter? I can squeeze it in there. I don't think it matters, actually. Let's just pretend I didn't do that. She only has 1 arm. There we go. Fix that. And now, do I need anything else? Oh, yes, socks. I like to put some socks on and then some tights, just to layer it up a little bit. So the socks get the thin vertical stripes, and then the tights are the fishnets, which are thin diagonal stripes. Change the angle on the other leg, just so it doesn't all blend in. And we diagonal stripe both ways to get a lovely diamond pattern for the fishnets. Just gonna heavy up that edge. Anywhere something is like on the leg, I will try to make it a little bit wider than the leg. I don't want it to look too tight, except for the tights. The tights go right to the edge of the legs. The socks go slightly over. The boots obviously go even wider. Just so it looks like it's sitting on the legs, not painted on. Love it. Super obsessed. I'm going to put a double line. So these are kind of sporty socks. This is her sports uniform. Why am I cracking myself up by saying that? It's just absurd. Could you imagine? I mean, if I saw a girl wearing this to sports uniform, I would definitely need to go and be friends with her. Apparently they do a lot more sports at school now. My sister was telling me that her son, my nephew, Laj, is doing like 2 or 3 sports days at school per week, which at first I was like, what on earth? Why are they doing that? And then I thought, you know what? Be active. Go do more sports. How could that be a bad thing? I'm sure it actually probably improves their willingness to sit down in a class for 2 hours at a time. I mean, he is only 9 years old, so maybe that was normal. I don't know. I felt like every time I was at school, I was just study, study, study from the beginning, from kindergarten on. All right, hat or beanie or something. I could give her a little witch's hat because it is Halloween. Do I want to do that? Do I want to give her a cute little sideways witch's hat? Maybe I'll do that. It's like a party hat. This is Party Witch Wednesday Punk Addams. I'm going to go all the way to the top. Actually, let me try and find a center point there. It's conical. I wonder if I can wrap a ribbon around it. Like if it went under her chin. Just so I could add another bow. There's a bit of negative space under here that would feature a lovely little black ribbon. Is that Oliver? Oliver's in here. Bianca went back to the vet. So this studio is now open. Bianca was in here by herself. She couldn't be with Oliver because she had I don't know what they called it. Like a port that she had to keep in. And that's why she was wearing the cone, because she would try and get rid of it. But then she couldn't have Oliver around because he's too rough and aggressive, and he would A, help her get out of the cone, and then B, help her take that port out. So the poor thing has been so distressed because he can't see his sister. She didn't really care that much. She was actually kind of happy for the break, I'm sure. She felt very glamour diva in here, in the west wing of the house, all by herself. Oliver did get through once. We then ended up having to barricade the door with a chair, because it's just a sliding door, it doesn't lock. And he figured it out. He's very clever. Very naughty, very clever. Do I want bows here too? I do. I want bows everywhere. Little triangle black bows. But she was really a champ. She did such a good job. Was very impressed, Miss BB. But now she's getting the port taken out today, so he must have made his way in here. And I just heard some rustling over there in the guest bed. So he's definitely under the sheets. You gotta be careful. Sometimes I'll just jump on a bed and he's under there. Now I always have to check the bed for lumps just to see if he's under there. Sometimes you'll press him, he'll squeak like a little squeak toy. He doesn't have a good meow, like he doesn't have a meow bot. You'll never believe it. My storage was full. I just had to go and deal with that drama now. Makes sense. I've got a lot of Halloworkshop videos on there. I'm gonna add some stripes. It's all good. I got it figured out. Oh, maybe I'll make it checkered. I was big checkered black and white fan when I was an emo in high school. Anyway, Oliver doesn't have a good voice box. I shouldn't say that. That sounds so mean. But he can't meow very loudly. He has a very squeaky meow. And the only other noise he makes is like a pigeon noise. Or he will squeak like a squeaky toy. If you hug him a little too tight, he'll squeak. So he found a workaround. When he used to want to be heard, he would go into the bathroom and get into the tub and start squeaking and meowing from in there because it would echo and it would amplify his voice. So he's very clever. But yeah. If he's not hiding under sheets, he's hiding behind a laundry or he's hiding in the trash. He was so funny the other day. I had a whole bunch of boxes and bags that were at the front of the house, like just the printer box and just the random plastic packaging it came in, and I was going to take it outside, and he had gone through all of it, taken it all out, put it all throughout the kitchen, and he made himself like a little nest of random trash, and he was sitting on it, like he was perched on this trash nest when I went out into the kitchen, I was like, what on earth are you doing? He was so pleased with himself too. Didn't think there was anything weird about it. He was like, why are you getting rid of all this stuff? This is a great bed for me. Oh, it was hilarious. But yes, Bianca's been fine. She had her surgery. She's just getting that port removed today. I don't know if she still has to be sequestered. Probably still. Maybe for a few more days. But even with taking her medicine, she was really good with me, and she just let me give it to her the other day. Steve makes it such a huge production because he thought she hated it so much, but realistically, we just found out Steve was impatient and that she will take her medicine if you just approach her slowly. So that was pretty funny. That is everything. And you know what? This works because speaking of Steve, my husband that I'm throwing under the bus right now, it was his birthday on October 16th. So this is my birthday Wednesday Addams for Steve. I don't think he cares for the Addams family too much, but... Oh, does she need some stud earrings or something? Does she need like a... She needs one of these piercings. What are these ones called? My sister's got every piercing that you can get in your ear. I'm surprised she even has an ear left. So I should know what they're called, but I have no idea. She's gonna have my sister's piercings. Which is pretty funny, because she had her ears pierced when she was little, and she hated that they would close up because she would take the earrings out, she'd lose them. And I used to re-pierce her ears all the time, so I thought she would definitely be too scarred from that. Literally scarred, emotionally and physically scarred from getting any more ear piercings. But she says they just heal over and then she just gets another one. She told me that the one really close, like here, this, I don't know what it's called, like the cartilage in that part of your ear. No, that's your neck. That's your, I don't know what it's called. But she said that one was kind of the worst because you could hear the crunch of the cartilage because it was right next to the opening of her ear. Like it just sent the noise down into her eardrum and she felt ill. I don't have my ears pierced. Fun fact, I have both my nipples pierced. That was a fun day in Turkey in 2012. But no other piercings, no tattoos. Let me just add some refinement to some of this detail. I think that's about it. I don't think there's much more I could add. I've added more detail to this than any of the other ones. And I love her and I think she's gorgina. I love that we got the fish on there. That makes me really, really happy. I wonder if we should just add some stitching detail. Just as a little last bit. I think that's appropriate. I put it down here too. Okay. Who knows, I might just go to town and start cleaning all of this up off camera. But I will scan this. It will be in your references for the Halloworkshop members. You might end up seeing some of these in Collage Club next month. In the weird November in-between month. Otherwise, I'm finished. I am finished with my Wednesday Addams. I don't like the eyes to be too sharp on the edges. Funnily enough, usually I do really like that, but I like them to be a lot more rounded. I think that looks heavier. There you go, that really punched it out. That's what it needed. Thank you so much for joining me today. And for my final piece for the Halloworkshop Extra Mile series on YouTube, thank you so much for following along, for your participation, for your sharing in the community. I have enjoyed seeing everything that you've gotten up to, not only inside the course if you joined us, but also here in the Extra Mile and on social media. If you've just been inspired by anything, make sure you continue to use those hashtags, because I do follow those, and that's where I get to see your work and enjoy that. But wherever you choose to share it, I hope you're enjoying some of the I don't know, some of the excitement that comes with sharing what you're passionate about and your art. And I know sometimes it can feel a little like, oh, it's just a drawing, it's just a whatever. But, you know, when I really think about it, things like this get turned into toys, like these collectible vinyl. I'm not saying this will, but, you know, the idea behind it, that these, you have this design and then you have all these character overlays that you do on top of it, and you come up with all these different things, and you're just on a little creative frenzy because you're just loving it. And then who knows, maybe someday they get turned into these little vinyl toys that people line up at 6 a.m. in the morning at a Pop Mart Global to go and buy. I mean, you never know the kind of influence what you're doing in your passion kind of has for other people. I think it's also interdisciplinary. Like, I don't think you have to be an artist and then appeal to other artists. I think whatever is you're passionate about, no matter how silly or stupid it might seem, can just be fun for other people, just to be entertained by, just to be inspired by, to give motivation to. I oftentimes, when I'm on TikTok, I'll watch these people that do, it's not cross stitching, what is it, needlepoint. I love the needlepoint. I feel like I want to do it. I really don't want to do it. It looks way too expensive as a hobby to get into, but I love it. It really reminds me of the little needlepoint things that I had growing up. I didn't even know that's what that was. I thought it was just cross stitch, which, I mean, it kind of is cross stitch, but yeah, there's a whole world of people who are doing needlepoint that do things for Christmas, that are just super excited to you know, do their projects at their own pace. It's just a part of their downtime. They have their coffee in the afternoon, they unwind after work, they do some needle pointing, they have their projects. And you know what? That is not what I do. It's not something that I'm really going to pick up. It's something I'm familiar enough with, but I love the way that they do it. And I love that there's this idea that what they're doing is they're like specifically some of them, they're building these collections of things that year over year kind of add to their Christmas experience. So, you know, 10 years from now, they have these 10 ornaments on their Christmas tree that they've needle pointed each year. And I just think that is so special. And there was a time period where each year I was making something for our Christmas, and I kind of just stopped. And it's really kind of kicked me back into gear to want to do that. And that is something that, yes, I can enjoy as an artist and as someone that likes to be crafty and creative. I can make those Christmas things and it's fun for me. You know, I enjoy doing it, but it is actually something that Steve benefits from. He feels like our Christmas is more unique because there's handmade things that, you know, that represent him that are in our house. There's times where I've given them as gifts because they're super personalized and, you know, they represent a family, and that just feels really special. So never underestimate that what you're doing and how you share it does have an effect on people. And even if you feel like it's something super niche, like this type of a Wednesday Addams drawing, there is an appeal for someone in some way. You don't have to know what that is, but I do encourage you to share it either way, because if you're passionate about it, that really does translate, and it's such a good thing just to put out in the world and to onto social media. So there's my encouragement for more sharing. I know you guys do it, but just more. Saturate the internet with lovely, gorgeous art journaling posts that I can enjoy. And I will see you around whenever I see you next. Thank you for joining me for the Extra Mile and the Halloworkshop 2024. Until next time, bye.